Mr. Liu said he could rely on emergency measures to pay U.S. debts after the limit is reinstated on 7 February. But he anticipated the Treasury's reserves would quickly be exhausted as it issues annual income tax refunds. Congress suspended the debt limit in October as part of a deal to reopen the federal government after a shutdown. The $16.7 trillion, a pound 10.2 yen, cap will be reinstated on Friday. Without borrowing authority, at some point very soon, it would not be possible to meet all of the obligations of the federal government, Mr. Liu said at the Bipartisan Policy Center in Washington on Monday. The Treasury Secretary said the U.S. Treasury Department could resort to accounting mechanisms to avoid breaching the limit until the end of February. But soon after, the U.S. will only be able to pay its debt and other obligations with cash on hand. And in the spring, Mr. Liu noted, the U.S. issues tax refunds to Americans who overpaid income taxes last year, straining its cash reserves. While Republicans have in the past demanded budget cuts in return for agreeing an increase in the borrowing limit, the party's leaders have signaled reluctance to do so this time around. Long-term fiscal challenges. In any case, the White House has said it will not negotiate budget policy in exchange for raising the debt limit. And Mr. Liu argued that dramatically cutting back on the federal government's spending was unnecessary for the moment. "I'm not sure this is the year for the long-term fiscal challenge to be dealt with," he said, adding the US deficit had been declining. "I actually believe that we've made so much progress in the short and medium term, we have a little time to deal with the longer term." During the partial government shutdown in October, Republicans lawmakers threatened to block a rise in the debt limit unless the Democrats agree to undermine or repeal President Barack Obama's signature healthcare reform law. In 2011, the Republicans won reductions in U.S. government spending in return for agreeing to raise the limit. Now, the debt limit debate returns to the fore as the Democrats and Republicans appear to have called a momentary truce in their long-running budget fight. Cross-party negotiations in Congress in December and January yielded a 2-year federal budget. However, Mr. Piper warned that funding may fall short because of a slow global economic recovery and the UN's $6.5 billion appeal for Syria, the largest humanitarian campaign in its history. He said that 5 million children under 5 years old are classified as acutely malnourished in the Sahel belt. The doubling of food insecurity figures to 20 million in the belt is highlighted by the OCHA. It is measured according to the level of hunger within a population due to conflict or climate. An estimated 2.5 million people out of those affected need urgent humanitarian assistance just to survive, the OCHA fact sheet says. In southeast Niger, for example, a convergence of floods, droughts and conflict in neighboring Nigeria means that people near the town of Diffa cannot grow enough food to get by. While the Sahel belt often sees floods, droughts, locust infestations and epidemics, it has also been hit more recently by conflicts in several countries including Nigeria, South Sudan and Central African Republic. Across the Sahel, more than 1.2 million people have had to flee violence and insecurity, with most of them crossing into neighboring countries as refugees where they place further strain on already limited resources, the fact sheet says. People are highly vulnerable to disease and epidemics, and because health infrastructure is so limited, many people die of illnesses that they should survive.